Imagine this, a 7-year-old boy, and he's standing on a bridge in Leeds in the UK with his dad dangling a magnet on a rope into a river, into the River Aire, to be specific. That's a magnet, magnet. And what does this 7-year-old boy pull out of the water with his magnet? Not an old bike, not an old shopping trolley. No, he pulls out of the water an unexploded World War II bomb. That's B-O-M-B. So this podcast is about a hobby which is becoming very popular in the UK. I notice also quite popular in France too. But it's a hobby that sometimes can be a little bit dangerous. So this podcast episode is about British culture, but it's also brilliant English language listening for you. You'll get all sorts of vocabulary here, including words for weapons in English. And while I'm talking about things like bombs and weapons, I do think of people who live in other parts of the world where war and conflict and possibly bombs are an everyday reality. That's a completely different level of danger from what I'm talking about here, of course. We are fortunate in the UK if our only danger comes from unexploded World War II bombs. But listen to this episode and learn lots of great English vocabulary. So the BBC reported this story about the boy pulling a bomb from a river in January 2025. But there are a number of other similar stories. So why do people look at a canal and think, I know, I'll throw a big magnet in there and see what I can find? Well, the answer is people like to go magnet fishing. And it's a growing hobby in the UK and around the world. Now, if you listen to Adept English regularly, and especially if you subscribe, you may know that one of my hobbies, my interests, is art and painting. And I do painting myself. I love to paint landscape, so that means trees, rivers, buildings, lakes and mountains. And this year, for the first time, I've started going out and doing landscape painting on plein air. That means outside, in the real world, live. I go with a friend, and though I often end up finishing my painting at home, it's very enjoyable and people are so friendly. They love to come up and speak to you if you're painting. What a way to meet the great British public, as we say. So last week, I was sitting by the Riverway in Guildford doing my painting, and I met people for the first time who were magnet fishing. The people I met reported that they'd found 7 pence. So they're probably as likely to make money out of their magnet fishing as I am out of my painting. But they had an enjoyable afternoon, and I was very curious about this new hobby. So what do magnet fishers use? Well, it's usually a very powerful magnet, a type of super strong rare earth magnet. You tie it to a strong rope and you drop it into the water, the river, canal or lake, and then you pull it back out to see what's stuck to it. It's rather like using a metal detector to find lost metal objects underground. It's the same excitement. What will you discover? It's just wetter, muddier, and considerably more unpredictable. So what else are people finding? Not just bombs, I hope. Well, there is Mark McGeechin and his 9-year-old son James from Glasgow. They've been magnet fishing since 2019. The BBC reported that they'd pulled out hundreds of weapons. That's weapons, W-E-A-P-O-N. A weapon is a device that you hurt people with. So Mark McGeechin and his son James have found bombs, axes, machetes, even a samurai sword. That's S-A-M-U-R-A-I. And little James was only 6 years old when he pulled the samurai sword out of the Union Canal near Edinburgh. Why is a samurai sword in a Scottish canal? But it's not just Scotland. In Canterbury, in Kent, the south of England this time, a man called Jamie Hackett was magnet fishing in the River Stour. STOUR, in January this year, when he found another World War II bomb. And again, the bomb squad had to be involved because the bomb was still live and dangerous. When this old bomb was detonated, was exploded, people over a mile away reported that their houses shook. Without magnet fishing, this bomb would have stayed undiscovered at the bottom of a canal. Now, if you're enjoying this podcast, why not go to adeptenglish.com and sign up for our paid subscription service? You'll get 8 extra episodes a month, completely free of ads, and covering all sorts of random and interesting topics like this one. It's a brilliant way to keep your English listening practice going strong. Regular listening week after week, that's what really builds your fluency. The words, the sentences, and the natural rhythm of English. It's English language learning without you noticing. Back to our topic. There's also David Lacey in Salisbury. He was magnet fishing with his children, aged 5 and 8, when he pulled up a Mills bomb. That's a type of World War II grenade, a hand grenade. That's GRENADE. And he noticed that the safety pin, the bit that stops the grenade exploding, had crumbled away after 80 years underwater. He told the BBC that he immediately put it into a bucket of water. And that's one of the safety rules. If you've pulled ordnance out of the water, you must keep it wet so that it doesn't dry out and become more unstable. Unstable in this context, it might explode. And that word, ordnance, that's a general term for military weapons, weapons that soldiers use. It also means ammunition, like bullets, and explosives, like grenades or bombs. That's all ordnance. And when we talk about bombs that were dropped but never went off, they are unexploded ordnance. It's estimated that around 10% of bombs dropped during the Second World War fell into lakes, rivers, and canals. That's quite a lot. And there is a genuine debate. Should these bombs, this ordnance, be disturbed? Is it better off left where it is? And is magnet fishing even legal? Is it against the law? So, on that question, is magnet fishing legal? Well, there is no single law in the UK that says magnet fishing is illegal, but it's a bit of a grey area. If you're caught magnet fishing in a canal or river without permission, you could get a fine of £25 from the Canal and River Trust, but probably they're unlikely to know. You could also get in trouble for trespass, that's TRESPASS. Trespass is when you're on someone's private land without their permission. The police in the UK also have an opinion on this. The possibility of having to deal with unexploded bombs. Well, it takes up a lot of police time, paperwork and money. So magnet fishing is not popular with the police. I think they'd rather the unexploded bombs and weapons stayed at the bottom of the canal or river. But another viewpoint, magnet fishers are pulling literally tons of metal rubbish out of Britain's waterways. The term waterways in English means canals or rivers. Water that you can travel along, if you like, that's a waterway. And environmental websites have shown that magnet fishing removes harmful metal rubbish from water and prevents rust, R-U-S-T, and metals poisoning the water and damaging fish. So every rusted shopping trolley, every abandoned bicycle, every discarded vape, that's VAPE. All of that is pollution that is being removed by magnet fishers. And the Birmingham Mail, that's a local newspaper, reported this year on couple Donna and Jason Collins. They're known as the Black Country Canal Rats. The Black Country is an area of the UK near Birmingham. And over a period of 10 years, Donna and Jason Collins have fished up everything from a stolen handbag, which they were able to unite with its owner, a judge, an iPhone, which they were able to give back to a jogger, a runner who'd lost it. But they've also found 3 World War II grenades. Donna and Jason Collins also knew to put the grenades in a bucket of water quickly and report them to the police so that they could be disposed of. But what Donna and Jason Collins also do, they sell the bigger pieces of metal to scrap metal merchants. So people who actually buy and sell pieces of metal and recycle them. Jason also makes smaller metal pieces into animal sculptures. That's sculpture. Decorative pieces, in other words. So that's from rubbish, not necessarily to riches, but to something meaningful at least. Surely that's a positive. And most responsible magnet fishers follow the safety rules. If they find a gun, they phone 999 immediately. 999 is the number for the police, the fire service, or an ambulance in the UK. And responsible magnet fishers, if they find ordnance, they keep it in water and report what they've found. Magnet fishers are quite well organised, and you could argue they're doing a job that no one else will do. Magnet fishing is also uncovering historical artefacts. That's ARTEFACT. An artefact, a historical artefact, it's an object made by human beings that have importance historically, like coins, ancient tools or weapons. A magnet fisher in Edinburgh, for instance, found a 350-year-old cannonball from the English Civil War. That's not rubbish, that's history. Notice the vocabulary we've picked up in this podcast. Magnet, bomb, weapon, samurai sword, grenade, unexploded ordnance, and artefact. These are useful words that any native English speaker would know, and now you can use them too in all sorts of conversations. That's the beauty of learning English through real-life stories. The words, the vocabulary stick in your mind because they're related to something interesting. So until next time, happy listening.